and welcome to Empower You. I'm your host, Janet Hickox, and with me today is my co-host, Roger Wetzel. Hi, Roger.
Hi, Janet. How are you?
I'm good, thank you
Good to
very
be
much.
here.
It's good to have you back. I have to tell you, I've missed you.
Thank you. I
You were
missed you
missed.
too.
Yeah, I know you did, because you
Yeah.
were in Spain having good times, rolling your ankle and
Yeah,
having a good time falling or whatever you did.
that's true.
The world traveler returns, thankfully, because I'll tell you, doing interviews without you is just not the same. It feels sort of,
Boring?
no, the people aren't boring. It just feels like something's missing. Like that interjection that you always put into things gives us sort of, banter back and forth. And you think of things
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
it's
think.
supposed to have fun, right?
That's right.
That's
Exactly.
true.
Exactly. Good. So today our guests are India Murkison and Dr. Jeremy Ayers of the Naturally Better Healing Centers. And hello, both of you, and welcome to Empower You. Today, we're really going to be talking about the vision. I think it's an extraordinary vision. I think that would be a really good word to put in front of it. I'm not sure who began this vision. Jeremy, I would think it was you. Yeah, she's pointing at you, so I'm guessing it was you. So let's just start with, telling people a little bit about you. Dr. Jeremy Ayers is an osteopath and a naturopath, and he's also the founder and CEO of Naturally Better Healing Centers. Jeremy's experience spans over 27 years, and he's been fortunate to count many of the great British therapists as his mentors in the field of osteopathy, nature cure, nutrition, and many other aspects of the natural holistic health world. He has helped thousands of people worldwide to regain vibrant health and become pain-free with a success rate of over 95%. That's incredible. I really want to talk about that too if we have time today. And it has been his long-held vision to bring to the world ancient natural healing centers with the evolved knowledge of today's technology and advancements. He nearly achieved this in New Zealand under the Humana Project and was to be funded by a local Maori iwi upon their financial settlements for land claims with the New Zealand government. But this process, sadly, to this day, still has not concluded. Dr. Jeremy Ayers is extremely well respected internationally and has lectured and written on various subjects on health. He is a celebrated host, panelist, and guest on many internet TV and radio shows, and founder of Naturally Better TV, a broadcasting platform in pre-launch phase at the Naturally Better website. He brings vision, experience, and passion to the project and will be the guiding light as CEO and a key member of the overall management and direction of the project and the face for the brand. Ultimately, he will become the international health ambassador, spokesperson, and visionary for Naturally Better and its further expansion. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Janet, and thank you, Roger, for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, we're really excited to talk to you because, first of all, I've got it, it's shown here on the screen behind you, your famous saying, you're not sick, you're toxic. And so why don't you take us back a little bit in time and give us an idea of where that came from and how you kind of came to be interested in natural healing as opposed to the typical allopathic way of healing.
Yeah, well, there's a story for you that hopefully I can get through in a reasonable time frame. But, my life was started quite normally like most people, a very simple life, simple working class family. I was I told my mother I think she had me so that I could fulfill the carpenter position in a family building company that we had. My brother was the mason bricklayer, and they needed a carpenter, so I'm pretty sure that that's how it came, because my first memories were them telling me you're going to be a carpenter, and that indeed was my first training. I was an international athlete representing Great Britain in canoeing, and the furthest thing from my mind was natural medicine, let alone becoming hopefully a great force of light and knowledge in the future. And it was at the age of about 21 that I hurt my back very badly when I was training the year to go to the Olympic Games. My whole life had been centered getting to the Olympic Games, nothing else, Very narrow-minded, very arrogant in those days. Some say still, but it's not true. But anyway, very, very, very arrogant, typical 21-year-old, knew I knew it all. And I hurt my back very badly, and almost couldn't walk from the pain. And all I knew was doctors like anyone else, but I didn't like their medicines. I didn't like their injections. And, you know, you had to drag us to a doctor. But as luck would have it, as far as I'm concerned, it never was luck, because I'm utterly convinced I've been guided since these times, and it was the beginning of a great awakening. But there was an osteopath, and if your listeners don't know what an osteopath is, it's pretty similar to a chiropractor on the squad, the Olympic training squad, and portly gentleman, not the picture of good health by any imagination, but a great character. And he was basically going to treat us for almost free. So, I mean, what was there to turn down? So I thought, I'll go along. And I went along to this portly chap, and he had a rather big clinic. And he handed me over to this German woman, which was one of the most masculine men I've ever met. You know, I'm sure she was from East Germany.
Was her name Helga?
I don't remember her name was, but I think she probably for the Stasi. Look, you see my dogs are barking even at my memory. They're getting upset. But I think she must have worked for the Stasi and probably shaved twice a day, and that's just her face. But anyway, she was a frightening character, and put me on. So this is my first introduction to so-called natural medicine, and I was petrified. And she put me on the couch, and this woman went through what was supposedly massage, but I was in a torturous pain. And eventually she finished with me, and Ron Johnson came in, and, you know, I think I was feeling better just from the fact that this woman had left me alone.
She was done.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, thank you, let me go. And anyway, Ron Johnson came in, and I'm just in my boxers, you know, and pretty vulnerable, and he put me in what I thought was some pseudo-sexual position. No explanation. And then, you know, and adjusted my back, and the pain just practically vanished. You know, a massive reduction, and I was just like a blind being ripped from my mind. I just said, "This is amazing." I have to know how to do this, and that was the beginning of a very accelerated journey into where I am today. Basically, I managed to get the very condensed version, I assure you, but I managed to get myself on what was perceived. This is relevant why I'm sharing it, perceived to be the best osteopathic college in England. And I got on that. There was a lot of people that didn't want me to go on it and stay in the family business. Anyway, I got on it, and within the first year, I was bored out of my brains. And I was very upset about this. It was everything that I wasn't expecting. There are a few brilliant lecturers. By the way, I don't know if I can hear a lot of feedback in my ear from someone doing something. Maybe the mic needs to be muted. But anyway, so I happened to be sitting next to a chap that's everything I don't like in a man. He was a bigot, a racist, solved his problems with his fists. And I couldn't understand why I liked this man, but for some reason I was sitting next to him and I befriended him. And he turned to me one day and he said, "You know what, this is crap." And I went, "You know, right, it is." And he said, "Do you want to meet Harry Hawes, who trained my father? His father was a great osteopath." And I said, "Absolutely." And off we went in his car very, very soon after, right up to the north of England on the borders of Scotland, into, I don't know if you remember the Hammer House of horror movies in the sort of 60s and 70s. And they were always dark moors with fog and old granite. This was a Catholic, I'm sorry if you've got any Catholics listening, but this was a Catholic college and a frightening place before I knew anything about Vatican and Catholicism, what's really going on or alleged to be going on, but very frightening place. And this is the building they'd hired, and, you know, terrible equipment, everything secondhand, and, you know, the complete opposite. But then I met Harry and his beautiful wife, Doreen, who were in their late 70s. And the moment I met them, I knew I was in the presence of somebody very extraordinary, of a little petite man, hands, you know, strong hands. When he touched his hands, they were so hot, I couldn't believe it. And that was it. I knew I'd met my first mentor, and he saw something in me instantly, which I only suspected. At that time, you know, your brain is telling you all the things that you're not, you know, with fear. But he saw, and he said, "You've got it." He said to me, "You've got it," you know, and he took me under his wing. And basically, I accelerated very quickly through that. And for me, it was like remembering, because it was remembering in truth. And by the time I came out of that, I already wanted to know how to cure or help cure the most serious diseases. And that's part 2 of the story. But that's the beginnings of my journey there.
Very interesting journey. And, you know, it's interesting how many people out there actually say that their journey began with sort of a memory, like they remembered certain things. It happened with me, and it's happened with lots of different people that I talk to. It's almost like you get kind of nudged onto the right path, and then once you're there, you're there. Let me also introduce, before we carry on any further, your public relations person with the Naturally Better, and that is India Murkerson, my soul sister in many different endeavors that we've gotten into. Hello, India, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's so good to be here with you guys yet again. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
It's always good to be with you.
Yay.
You get us involved in the most interesting things, I have to tell you.
And you know, you're coming on to Naturally Better TV. We've got your spot picked out and everything.
I noticed the other day I was made an employee of Naturally Better.
I've got your picture going up on the website in certain places. You just wait.
I know, this is really good. You're really good at what you do when it comes to PR and marketing.
You know, I love my
people. The absolute best. I'm incredibly privileged to have her. And yes, Janet and Roger, you're on, and we would have got round to telling you at some point.
Yeah, Roger's not on Facebook very often, so we don't ever know. He never knows anything.
We're going to put your picture there, and it's going to compel you to join in.
Well, I do have a Facebook page, just so you know.
I know you do.
He does. So now
visit it every now and again.
Yeah, that would be nice, Roger. Visit your Facebook page periodically. Just once in a while. So India and Jeremy, tell us how you two connected and what brought the two of you together. Because India, I know you've had an interesting, lots of interesting health challenges throughout your history. So what drew the two of you together?
Well, it's really, really strange how life kind of, again, nudges you or kicks you in the ass, however it needs to come about, into the places where you kind of like, supposed to be, because everything feels wonderful in this time in the work that we're doing. But it was quite amazing when I started to get interested in how, I mean, really solutions based. How can we make it better? What can we do ourselves? I'm very practical. And the first thing that I did was I was aware of Hope Moore's work with the Fix the World organization. That's where this all began. Even before Jeremy even knew that I knew who he was. I had really been interested in the work she was doing and the people that were bringing projects together, ways and, services and gifts of different sorts of ways to improve humanity's lot on this planet. So the first thing that I wanted to do was like, wow, there's other people who kind of think like me, instead of waiting for something to be handed to you or for you to be, vote, do you want it? Or, we've been granted to this, whatever kind of situation. What can we do practically among ourselves? And so to me, when I found a community of people who were forward thinking about really huge ideas about, this guy wants to change healthcare. He doesn't want to, have a massage clinic. That's not what's going on. He wants to change healthcare. I wanted to, I had a vision of creating eco-villages and sustainable communities where we can live, learn, teach, heal, grow in a conscious environment. That was what I wanted to do. And I just started seeking out these people who had projects on the roster, actually. Started a radio station, kind of like he just started talking. And I just came to him one day, I'm like, listen, I know some people that you know. And I hear you got your shit together, could you come on my radio show? And he was kind of, he's been called a diva, and he kind of is, because he's like, well, I'm really busy. What would I be talking about anyway? You've got to convince me. Tell me some things you'd want to know. And I'm like, well, damn, like, it's all like, I'm like, wow, okay, he's all Hollywood or something, But really, it's a real life question, If you're interested in what I'm saying, show me that you know what the hell I do. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, I kind of appreciated it. I'm like, okay, he's one of them ones.
He's going to make you walk your talk.
Oh, yeah, and look, boots tying up now. I got you, So, I mean, after a few conversations, and I had kind of corralled a team of people that I wanted to, again, as you know, I've shared before with you guys, I've seen my way through certain things that just didn't make sense in my own medical crises, you know, and things that come a long way on my own. And I'm like, wow, these are doctors who are not like those guys in the white coats who I spent over 30 plus years being like almost like a victim of almost, you know. I've been like, you know, under the thumb of these people who are supposed to know so much, but my body was saying like, everything you're telling me is not working. And finally I found people who were skilled, experienced, and using these practical things to correct these conditions or labels that I had that, you know, made sense to me. You know, you kind of know things, you don't know why you know things. Well, he knew the science and could explain the things. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need this guy. And so, again, I got him and Darko Velchek, Clive DeCall, and then we were recently joined by Valerie Warwick. These are all health professionals who are, again, forward thinking, like, this world doesn't have to be like this. You don't have to be taking all of these shots and, you know, all of these tablets, and a pill's not going to fix everything. And when is anyone going to ask the question of what's causing these anomalies? What's causing these upsets in the human condition? And I never heard anybody think like that. And my mind was blown. My jaw was on the floor. And since then, like, it's been a year and a half plus that we've been doing broadcasting shows, sharing health solutions. And now we've always had these little projects of everyone's, you know, been working on something huge or grand in the background, but now everything has pushed to the front. And so this is the time where, you know, it's kind of like, okay, expanding you was great and terrific, but I know where my gifts lie. I can talk. I can unite people, you know. But I believe in the work that he's doing because I've lived the journey that he's sharing. And I want to be the first person to sign up to say, like, I need to go to this college, because just watching him work, and we, you know, talk about cases and stuff like that together now, and I'm just like, I don't have any more notebook paper left, you know. Every day is like, you know, there's like sprinkling glitter into my world just being around him. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
So that's a great segue, because Jeremy, I want to ask you, what is the difference between an osteopath and a traditional doctor? Because it's only, for me, it's only been about 3 months that I actually ago or so that I heard the word osteopath and met someone who is one. But can you explain to us and give us some ideas of what the difference is between you and a traditional MD?
Absolutely. Well, I need to say something and then go back and then come back and answer that. Several years ago, I founded Natural Practice. So it is the combination of naturopathy, true natural medicine, because it isn't being practiced as it should be anymore, deliberately being taught that way, with the best of chiropractics and osteopathy and the sort of philosophy of Eastern medicine, all wrapped into one. So what I am now is a doctor in naturopractics, and will be teaching the new, what I call the true doctors of our time. So, but to go back, how I got to that and founded that and why it's so different is osteopathy, where I left off, and you'll see why, and I'll bring in also why I was perhaps abrupt with India in the beginning, because if it sounds arrogant, you'll have to forgive me, but the knowledge we have now literally can make this planet well and the people well. And I knew there's going to be a time, because you've got to reach a certain age. You know, I got a little bit of gray in my hair. You've got to look right to be respected at a certain level for the people still trapped in 3D. So I knew there was going to be a time, and when I say new, you understand, I'm sure a lot of your audience understands, there's a knowing. Once you're on a calling, and I am on a calling, there's a knowing of certain things are going to happen. You may not know when, but you know it's going to happen. And I knew I was going to be public. And I've been crushed twice, and maybe we'll get in that to another day, because the information and the knowledge that I have to share, along with many others, will stop medicine pretty much in its root. And we'll get into that in a minute. So there's been a lot of resistance to see this stuff come out. And so when India approached me, it was very critical that whoever I was going to work with, that they understand the level of importance that they might not understand at this stage of what we've got to share. And we are literally not going out to build a clinic. We're going out to rebuild a health system, a health philosophy, a health understanding from doctors down and from roots up. So when I came out of osteopathy, I went to Harry Hawes, who I've said, and Harry is what I call a classical osteopath, as opposed to what they're teaching osteopathy. Osteopathy essentially is the same as chiropractics, with a little bit of change in techniques, and we all do deep tissue, which chiropractics don't take. In fact, Harry Hawes had a joke about chiropractors, and he said the only reason a chiropractor will x-ray you is to get your credit card number, and for the for the vast majority of the time that's correct, because people go into this as business. Most doctors that have been interviewed, they went into it as a profession where it used to be a calling, and it must become a calling again. You must be called to the healing arts, because money, while we still deal with money, must be secondary. And while money is why you went into it, you can never fully serve who's in front of you in the truest sense of the form, in the purest sense. So anyway, classical osteopathy stems back at the same time as classical chiropractics. So we're talking several hundred years ago, when the level of toxicity that we experience in this world now, which still people do not fathom, didn't exist. You know, from electromagnetic pollution to the number of chemicals to pesticides and things it just didn't exist. And I'll go into that a little bit later so people have some understanding. So what the osteopaths and chiropractics philosophically understood was that the nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord and then the peripheral nerves going out to every cell in the body, was a two-way path. So they're sending information to every cell, and of course cells make up tissue and organs. So you have liver cells, liver tissue, liver organ, and it was a two-way path. So if the organ was unwell or dis-ease, which is where the word comes from, dis-ease, not at ease, it would communicate back to the spine and then up to the brain. And they recognized that there would be what they call a subluxation in the spine or in the physical body that has created a stagnation of movement of energy, often referred to as chi or prana or things like this, that some people are more familiar with, but also a physical stagnation of fluids, blood, lymph, cerebrospinal fluid that bathes the brain, and also a neurological stagnation of electrical information being channeled to these areas, backwards and forwards. So they understood that tissues would change and organs would change, and if they did adjustments, it would free up that stagnation, things would move, and the body is, and I'm looking right in the camera now, audience, the body is self-healing. You know, this is one of the fundamental things we teach. Your body does not know how to work against you. Irrespective of what faith or belief you have, it isn't made that way. Now, I know a lot of people listening will go, well, that's ridiculous. Look at my health and look at my... But you just don't understand all the jigsaw pieces yet, and hopefully we'll expand upon that later. So the chiropractors and the osteopaths were really preaching from the same text of philosophy, slightly different. And that's classical osteopathy and chiropractics, and very successful it was. Okay? Then, through that period of time, allopathic, which really were the real snake doctors, still have the serpent as their main logo. If you were really a question of who really was a snake medicine. And medicine, by the way, I spell MEDI-SIN because it's very accurate, because all their medicine is toxic. And if you can find me any philosophical or religious text which says, take a sick man and the way to make him healthy is poison him, please present it to me, because I haven't found it. It makes no sense to me. So anyway, there was this war starting between what I call true medicine and allopathic medicine. And, you know, money gets involved. And really, around about the 1900s, naturopathic doctors, natural medicine, who recognized that you were not sick, you were toxic. And but remember, we've gone through an industrial revolution now, and so the level of toxicities are building up. We're putting mercury in people's mouth from 1860 and all kinds of things that we'll get into. So naturopaths were becoming more important because they were recognizing that we were becoming more and more poisoned, and that these diseases and all these labels and symptoms were simply the body's attempts to get rid and resolve. And if you look at basic fundamental philosophies, a naturopathic, a natural doctor views everything as stagnation. And inflammation is the body's way to try and resolve this. Now, medicine sees inflammation, you got to stop it. They do everything possible to stop it. And so it is very understandable how people out there who don't know, let's call it the truth, at least from my understanding, that they got sick, went to a legalized drug pusher, a doctor, took something, the symptoms stopped, and they felt better. And so they go, well, this is very effective medicine. But when you take a case history, which is the most powerful tool we have, which is literally a story of how they got to where they were in their health picture, and I did one today of a very sick woman, you'll see that it started back here, and their body tried to resolve it through some kind of normally fairly neutral kind of disease, a cold, a flu, a sore throat, an ear infection, that sort of level, and it was stopped, and they seemed to get better, and then it tried to come again. And my own wife's is a perfect story. Throat infection after throat infection after throat infection after throat infection, antibiotics, 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 moved to the ears, drops, on and on and on it went, and then bam, cancer. Now, when you can start to show people that what actually happened was their body's attempt, which is far more intelligent than any of we are, right, was trying to remedy a toxic loading. And in my wife's case, which is a beautiful example, she had 5 fillings with mercury, and mercury is the most toxic substance known to mankind, leaking into her body. She was drinking Coke Zero, thinking that was at that time. At that time, she didn't know, but at that time, she'd been educated stupid like the rest of us, that sugar was bad, so having no sugar was good. So that was it. She was highly stressed. She had an autistic son, and on we could go. So her body was getting very toxic, build up. It would try and get rid of it. She'd go to the drug pusher, doctor. Sorry, I must have made a mistake. Go to the doctor. He would give her drugs, stop it, and each month, several months ago, it would try and remedy it again, and it would stop. When you stop it enough, and it's usually 3 or 4 times of stopping that route, it will go deeper. And so you can follow it through a case history. And so it went to cancer. And then, of course, you're in a very different picture. So naturopathy, to answer your question, 200 years ago, doing adjustments and recognizing that the body was completely connected. You can't have ear, nose, and throat specialists if you're a 200-year-old chiropractor osteopath. The philosophy is just totally alien. How can you separate your feet from your brain when every drop of blood connects every cell and the nervous system? You just can't, right? So they would be looking at blockages, stagnations, and how to remedy that. And they would also look at your life. What are you doing? Are you overworked? Are you are you in a lot of stress and la 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 la? So they would look at the whole being. Naturopathy. Go ahead.
Let's pause and take a break.